Series of measures being announced by the finance minister to boost the economy, to ensure that there is confidence, the distrust or apprehension that was going on. All those efforts have been made to allay fears. Particularly on the automobile, there has been a specific focus, and the announcements that have been made, how will it directly impact the automobile sector? What are the views there? Jagdish Khattar is the chairman and managing director of Carnation Auto. He's joining me. Mr. Khattar, how do you look at these measures that have been announced, particularly in the automobile sector? I'm looking at the list that has come out, that the government itself is going to be a big buyer of automobiles. Will that be some kind of relief for the automobile sector?
Listen, the government must have really studied what the position is now. They must have identified the areas by which the demand could be boosted. To only depend upon individuals wouldn't have carried out, much results. So I think they have taken the initiative themselves. Now, honestly, I've not been able to go through everything, but yes, a broad idea I have. So what the government is saying is, first of all, they are putting their best foot forward. They have increased their buying as far as their own is concerned. Now let's mark this. For government to start purchasing is the easiest to do, very easy to do, because they have to decide and everyone will go. So this will give some amount of initial impetus. So I think by these measures, another thing that they have said, they will initially give a fillip. The despondency that is there in the industry will go up. But more important is how it is sustained. And I'm sure that as we go along, there would be some other tweaking so that more people can be participative in this. So yes, I think it's a good initiative. After having seen for so long, the market keeps on going declining. There is now an effort to give it a push. And the initiative is being taken by the government itself purchasing, but for several years they had stopped purchasing. So once they start doing it, I think there will be some effect.
Okay.
But long term has to be seen.
Yes, Gaurav has a question for you.
No, Mr. Khattar, I just would like to know, the finance minister has clarified that BS4 vehicles bought between now and March 2020 will continue to remain registered. Does it take care of the confusion, and also does it take care of the uncertainty that has led to regarding a lot of a pile-up of unsold inventory?
Yes.
I think it gives some idea that they are, listen, first of all, it was not easy to operate what was being suggested, and they have realized it. Now, what they have said is, remains to see what are the specific the wordings that are going to be issued, but there is a realization that it is not possible and it is going to affect. And what needs to be done is not banning anyone, but introducing a new one and give all the incentives that you want to give to the new ones, but don't ban the others. The answer to this is both should go parallel. Don't disincentivize one, but incentivize the other and let that go. So I think some more clarification will come tomorrow day after what exactly it means. But there are vehicles, I mean, at least the fear that was there that there's going to be complete ban on it and people got worried. To some extent it would be taken care of. But more clarification will come, I think, in the next couple of days, and it will be clear.
Yes.
But it is very unlikely that they will ban.
And this 15 plus 15% depreciation.
All have to run concurrent.
This 15 plus 15% depreciation on all vehicles acquired now will be till March 2020. How do you think it will lead to manufacturers and not ensuring that the job losses do not take place?
Listen, job losses is one part of it. What they are trying to do is that they are using some of the industries to give it a boost. Now, by increasing the depreciation, I think it will encourage many corporates. Individuals are different. Corporates are buying. They have, because of various reasons, they have gone slow. Now there will be a impetus for them, or there will be some response from them that they'll avail of this. And I'm sure that many corporates who have been going slow in replacement of vehicles or giving it to individuals, they'll open up their purses and get the maximum depreciation out of it. So all said and done, I think they have had a look at each possible area What is immediately doable, they have suggested. Most of it has to do with the government. You see, to expect the individuals to purchase and all will take time. So the government has taken the initiative on itself to set the ball rolling.
Yes.
Then I think generally at the end of it, it's the general atmosphere, the whole environment has to change. But a beginning is being made.
Yes. So consumer confidence is perhaps that's going to come little later, but the fact that the government has said that we are going to be a buyer first, the ban that was there is being lifted in itself is going to send a message to the automobile sector that government is ready to invest. Gaurav, the point that is being made specifically in by the government, and Nirmala Sitharaman herself said that there will be a series of measures that will be announced next week, and then there will be another series of measures. So this is essentially work in progress.
Absolutely, and what the finance minister has done and the government has done, as Mr. Khattar has very rightly pointed out, that they have carefully detailed out which are the areas that need pointed attention, and by lifting the ban on government purchase of vehicles, it's like an elephant entering the market. Mr. Khattar would know that the government is the biggest buyer, and if it's kind of a stimulus which the government is going to provide to the automobile industry by spending from its own pockets. Once that demand picks up, at some point in time, with a time lag, the expectation is that consumer confidence will also pick up. But I would like to know from Mr. Khattar, since you are one of the most credible voices of the automobile industry, to what extent do you think the scrappage policy is important for giving an impetus to the car industry? And this has been in the works for a few months now. The finance minister said that it's going to come out very soon. To what extent do you think it's going to be act as some point of an inflection for the automobile industry?
2 points. This scrappage policy, when I was the president of the Automobile Association, I had initiated this. It is 15 years today that it is in the pipeline. And even if they announce it now, it will take time. It's not easy. There are too many things to be done. But at least the beginning would have been made. But coming back, as you mentioned just now, my fear is government should come with everything that they have to give in one go. Having said that, today we have announced after 10 days we will do so again, we will do another. The effect is going to be diluted. People will wait for the next announcement and the next announcement. They need to make all announcements in one go and say, this is all, no more, please go ahead. Then people will start working on it. My fear now, after that, what you are saying is that this is the first installment and is going to come. I think it's going to, it's psychological. Wait, if they have been waiting for so many months, they might as well wait for another few weeks. So my suggestion to government would be to please sit down and compile everything, announce all that they have to do and say no more. This is all we are doing. Then the customers and people can decide what to do.
Mr. Khattar, I'm looking at the series of measures. I mean, the fact that the government has identified various sectors and it looks like a very detailed set of measures that have been put out now. Do you think that the government has really understood the problem? Because so far it was being said that this is a government which is in denial. They really do not understand the issues that are there in various sectors.
No, of course. What has been done today, and again they are saying this is only first installment, more will come. Listen, no one can deny that we have a problem, and no one can deny that government will have to take the initiative. So it's apparent that they have understood, they have identified, and they have come in the manner in which they have come now, and they have gone, area by area, whatever is possible, they have done it, and there will be now implementation part of it. But my request and suggestion is that quickly they should announce all that they have to do and say no more. Let people decide and move forward. And the moment people have an impression something more is coming, even the present dispensation will get diluted or delayed.
All right. Jagdish Khattar, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that perspective from the automobile sector on the series of measures that have been announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Let me bring in Gaurav back with us here in the studio. Mukesh Tyagi is the Senior Vice President of Northern India Textile Mills Association. Mr. Tyagi, how do you look at these measures that have been announced by the Finance Minister?
मारे सबसे पहले तो मैं आपका धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा कि आपने हमें यहाँ बुलाकर अपनी बात कहने का मौका दिया। मगर जो मैं अभी स्पीच सुन रहा था माननीय फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर जी की, उसमें टेक्सटाइल का कहीं कोई जिक्र नहीं है। ऑटो सेक्टर या बैंकिंग के जो रिफॉर्म्स वगैरह उन्होंने अनाउंस किए हैं वो अच्छे हैं, बट जहां तक हमारे सेक्टर का कंसर्न है, हमें कहीं किसी मीडिया में, टीवी प्रिंट मीडिया में कोई हमारे सेक्टर का जो स्ट्रेस है उसको कोई मतलब कवरेज नहीं मिलती है। और इसी वजह से हमने पिछले दिनों में हमें इश्तिहार देने पड़े, जैसा कि काफी लोग हमसे पूछते थे भी ये इश्तिहार दिए क्यों। इश्तिहार देने का एक मेन कारण हमारा ये था कि प्रिंट मीडिया और टीवी मीडिया हमारे टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री को उतना कवर नहीं करता जितना का टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री डिजर्व करती है।
लेकिन आपको नहीं लगता, गौरव भी यहाँ पर हैं, जो मेजर्स अनाउंस हुए हैं जैसे MSMEs के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में और लोन्स के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, वो आपको बेनिफिट करेगा, टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री को बेनिफिट करेगा?
MSME लेवल पे यस, जो हमारा जो आगे यान से आगे के जो सेक्टर हैं, कपड़ा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से आगे के सेक्टर हैं, गारमेंट जो सेक्टर है वो जो बहुत फ्रेगमेंटेड है, जो MSME सेगमेंट में आता है, उनको ये बेनिफिट करेगा। बट हमारे सेक्टर की जो समस्याएं हैं वो कुछ अलग तरह की पिक्यूलियर समस्याएं हैं, और आज जो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने जो बात जितनी की है उसमें कोई हमें अभी तक ज्यादा कोई राहत की बात नजर नहीं आती हमारे सेक्टर के लिए।
So, the question is to what extent is textile industry's current problem is
linked to current situation?
The reasons are within domestic. कितना हद तक टेक्सटाइल प्रॉब्लम, टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री करंट प्रॉब्लम एक्सपोर्ट्स के कारण है और कितना हद तक डोमेस्टिक डिमांड के कारण है? ग्लोबल ट्रेड में जितना वॉलेटिलिटी है उसी के कारण बहुत लोग कह रहे हैं, बहुत विश्लेषक कह रहे हैं कि टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री की करंट प्रॉब्लम हैज कम बिकॉज ऑफ एन एक्सपोर्ट स्लो डाउन रादर देन फॉल इन डोमेस्टिक डिमांड।
मारे जी, मैं सबसे पहले थोड़ा सा 1 या 2 मिनट का टाइम चाहूंगा ताकि मैं इस बात को पूरी तरह से पर्सपेक्टिव में रख सकूं। हमारी टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री की और खासकर स्पिनिंग इंडस्ट्री की या कताई उद्योग की जो समस्याएं हैं वो पिछले साल 1 अक्टूबर से शुरू हुई। जब पिछले साल अगस्त में जो है, अगस्त या सितंबर में जो CACP है वो मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस अनाउंस करता है सारी एग्री कमोडिटीज का। अब पिछले साल जो सरकार ने 25 से 28% तक कपास के, सीड कॉटन के दाम बढ़ाए थे, उससे जो है हमारी समस्याएं शुरू हुई। जनरली इतने बड़े स्केल पे एक स्टेप में जनरली मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस कभी मुझे याद नहीं बढ़ाए गए हैं। अब इस मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस से बढ़ाने से भी हमें कोई मतलब, हम इसके खिलाफ नहीं है। हम चाहते हैं कि सरकार हमारे फार्मर को ज्यादा से ज्यादा उसका पैदावार का उसका वो पैसा दे, उसको रेम्यूनरेशन दे। लेकिन इसके साथ हमारी जो मेन डिमांड है, हम ये चाहते हैं कि जब हमारे कॉम्पिटिटर कंट्री जैसे कि चाइना है, वो अब एग्री कमोडिटीज में प्योरली मार्केट ड्रिवन इकोनॉमीज की, मार्केट ड्रिवन डिमांड ड्रिवन मार्केट्स पे, एग्री कमोडिटी मार्केट्स पे स्विच हो चुके हैं, जो कि हिंदुस्तान में ऐसा भी कुछ हुआ नहीं है। अब पिछले साल से ही हमारे जो मिनिमम बेस हैं कपास के, वो करीब 27-28% बढ़ गए। अब अभी इस सिनेरियो में आज हमारे पास हमारी जो रुई है वो करीब दुनिया से 20% महंगी है, 15 से 20% तक महंगी है। तो इस सिनेरियो में हम जो है अंतरराष्ट्रीय बाजारों में जो हिंदुस्तान की स्पिनिंग इंडस्ट्री है करीब 30% प्रोडक्शन जो एक्सपोर्ट होता था वो भी जून के महीने में आधा रह गया था। अब करीब 15% प्रोडक्शन जो है वो लोकल बाजारों में वापस मतलब अवेलेबल है बिकने के लिए, जिसका कोई ग्राहक नहीं है। तो सबसे पहली जो हमारी समस्या है वो रॉ मटेरियल को लेकर है। हम चाहते हैं कि भारतीय सरकार सबसे पहले जो हमारी मांगे हैं या हमारे सजेशंस हैं, हमारी अपील है सरकार से कि वो हमारी मांगों को में सबसे पहले रॉ मटेरियल की हमारी समस्या को हल करे। जो कपास है वो उसको जो अगर मिनिमम प्राइस से नीचे गिरता है तो सरकार या एजेंसियां CCI या नेफेड उसको ना खरीदें, उसकी बजाय सरकार।
देखिए फिर त्यागी जी, देन इन दैट केस जो आप लोग का ये एडवर्टाइजमेंट निकला था न्यूज़पेपर्स में, वी हैव अ कॉपी ऑफ दैट एंड दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई आई हैव आस्क्ड यू टू जॉइन मी ऑन दिस पैनल। उस वजह से तो अगर ये जो कपास के प्राइस से रिलेटेड है तो ये 2018 से प्रॉब्लम शुरू हुआ है, तो जॉब लॉसेस जो है वो करंट क्राइसिस से रिलेटेड नहीं है।
नहीं मैडम, देखिए कोई भी समस्या को बाहर आने में समय लगता है। हम लोग उससे पिछले साल से ही जूझ रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं है। ये समस्या कोई भी आज एक्शन लेते हैं तो उसका रिएक्शन आने में समय लगता है। हम लोग अभी तक पिछले 6-8 महीने साल भर से इस समस्या को इंटरनल लेवल पे अपने आपस में इंडस्ट्री उद्योग पे इससे जूझ रहे थे। हमें लगता था कि हम शायद इससे बाहर निकल आएंगे। अगर इंटरनेशनल प्राइस जो है अगर और आगे चढ़ गए तो हम निकल आएंगे। पर मगर चूंकि पिछले कुछ दिनों में, पिछले 4-6 महीने में इंटरेस्ट प्राइस इतने गिर गए हैं कि हमारे जो रुई के प्राइस हैं वो कंप्लीटली अनवायबल है। एक तो सबसे बड़ी हमारी जो मांग है, अगर सरकार यहाँ पे या आपके इस पैनल पे कोई भारतीय जनता पार्टी से भी मौजूद है तो हम उनसे चाहेंगे कि फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर से हमारी ये दरखास्त रखें कि जल्द से जल्द कपास की जो मार्केट्स हैं उनमें से सीसीआई या नेफेड जो है वो ना खरीदें या मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस ऑपरेशंस बंद किए जाएं जल्दी से जल्दी, और जो उसकी बजाय फार्मर्स को डायरेक्ट बैंक ट्रांसफर में अगर कपास के बादाम नीचे गिरते हैं एमएसपी से तो उसका जो डिफरेंस है फार्मर्स को डायरेक्ट पे किया जाए ताकि कपास का बाजार जो है वो डिस्टॉर्ट ना हो। इंडस्ट्री को एक मिनट, तो इंडस्ट्री को मार्केट प्राइस पर, ग्लोबल प्राइसेस पर जो है हमें कपास मिल सके, रुई मिल सके।
Yes, I get your point, Mr. Tyagi. Thank you. Stay with us. We have also Gopal Agarwal, a spokesperson of the BJP, also joining me on the panel, and perhaps he will be able to respond to what Mukesh Tyagi has been saying specifically.
मारे जी इससे पहले कुछ
त्यागी जी, मैं आपके पास फिर से आऊंगी। There are other panelists as well. You know, Gaurav, that specific point about series of measures, when we look at it, and Nirmala Sitharaman starting with wealth creators, because if you look at the Prime Minister's address on 15th, it was also that wealth creation is not sin and we respect the wealth creators. Do you think that FPI surcharge, that message that went was that if you invest in India, if you earn in India, then you are going to be targeted by this government, and they have now managed to allay that fear. Absolutely. Completely go in the pre-budget scenario. How much do you think it will have an immediate impact on the markets and confidence building? Definitely will have an immediate impact in the markets, and we'll get to know that early on Monday morning. What it has done, what it is likely to do, is to soothe frayed nerves of very nervous foreign portfolio investors, and it also sends a message across to the investing community as well as to the entrepreneurial class that the government is not going to get after anybody who's created wealth. So anybody who's creating wealth will not be seen as somebody who is an adversary, will not seen as with an adversarial approach by this government. That is the kind of message that the finance minister is seeking to play out, as also the Prime Minister had said during his Independence Day speech. But on this series of, the finance minister clearly said that the measures will be staggered. Well, we can expect one probably in the middle of next week and one shortly after that. What it does mean, and I will agree with with Jagdish Khattar, who was with us until a couple of minutes ago. We said that the government should have probably gone ahead and done it at one go. Say, for instance, if somebody is buying a car or decided to buy a car, but they'll wait for another week. They'll probably wait and see whether GST is actually cut. You know, whether GST rates are actually brought down on vehicles. When there is widespread expectation that GST rates could be brought out, and the finance minister cannot make an announcement of a GST rate change because that decision is taken by the GST Council. Even if there is a thinking within the government that GST rates probably will be cut, no, but then that should have been probably communicated. The other view can be that Nirmala Sitharaman or the government is giving time to watch how each of these decisions will be playing out, and thereafter taking a more studied call. One of the that is probably the mainstream argument behind coming out with a staggered approach. As she indicated, that there has been considerable amount of discussion taking place so far as the real estate sector is concerned, and also to allay fears of and try to come with some kind of a package for a very stranded home buyers who have been waiting for their house for almost more than a decade in some instances, particularly in the NCR region. We expect some kind of announcement coming probably next week when the next set of measures are announced. And what it does is that the government is, by picking on or the automobile sector in the first set of announcements, the government has actually identified consumer demand as a problem, and that's a big thing, because there's an acknowledgement that consumer demand needs to be
boost. It needs a boost.
Yes.
And because
the timing, of course, because
it just comes before the festival season kicks in.
Before the festival season.
And you know, if you look, the edifice of the India growth story is consumption demand, household spending. You need to revive that if growth has to be revived in the broader economy.
Gopal Agarwal, Mukesh Tyagi is here, and he is a representative of the textile industry. He says that their problem is started in 2018 itself, last year itself, and it has been about the price of the kapas, the cotton. Earlier, Mr. Khattar, who is a representative, a very credible voice of the automobile sector, he has to say that the government, when Nirmala Sitharaman says she identified a problem, she talked about a series of measures in various sectors, but she also said that there will be more measures that will be announced in the due course. Perhaps every week the government will be understanding the market and going ahead and making those announcements. But the view is that why have this staggered approach? Why not go in for in one go? Why not in one go?
No, the issue is that because we have to, we are getting regular feedbacks from the people. It's very important that we as a government want to be interactive and take stakeholders' concerns and move ahead. If you go to any sector, what happens is, I have been also meeting to many people, they just want tax ops and special package for that particular sector. That is the only way which they think that the sector will develop. Though their demands are important, but at the government level, we have to take a comprehensive view. The allocation of resources to various sectors also has a limitation on the government. So the most important factor for us is that how to generate resources at the government level without harassing taxpayers, increasing tax collection resources, etc. The government is to work on resource generation is more important, and then only you can allocate. So therefore we are looking into a staggered manner, more feedback, and as the market accepts them, we can move ahead.
You know, and the fact that the government has withdrawn enhanced surcharge and you have gone back to the pre-budget scenario, one would say that this is a reactive government, only because you understood how there was a lot of negative sentiments that were being generated. You chose to do this midway.
No, you cannot say it as a reactive government. Responsive governance is part of the government. And there was certain problems in the FPI because it had artificially created two categories into the FPI. Those who are registered as corporates, they were out of this tax, and those who are registered as a trust, etc., most of them were registered as trust. They were feeling the pinch. They were not given a chance of migration. So these are the issues. They are rectified, and we are taking a justified decision. And we cannot artificially create two things. Okay. So two segments in the same, two structures for the same.
I have a question for Gopal Krishna Agarwal.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Mr. Agarwal. My question is specific to FPI, and it's been in place for less than 2 months now. From today, it stands withdrawn. So far as the surcharge on FPIs are concerned, was it always meant to be a short-term measure to collect data on on institutions or foreign portfolio investors that the government thought could be evading taxes, or is it the decision to withdraw today probably reflects the government actually did not think the way it would be, the reactions of putting in the manner.
Yes. Even CBDT gives so many clarifications on various tax measures. As a professional or any practicing person will tell you that when a law is made or changes are made in tax laws, there are certain repercussions which are not initially incorporated into the decision making. Once they come into your light, you change come through clarifications or changes.
Fine
so
enough.
This is a regular process on the taxation law.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Gopal Agarwal there, Gaurav Chaudhary here in the studio, and Mukesh Tyagi of the Textiles Association. Thank you so much for joining us. A series of measures announced by the Finance Minister. More will be announced in the due course, perhaps next week and thereafter as well. what is the situation on ground? In fact, my reporter from News 18 went to Kanpur leather industry. It's a thriving business. It was once upon a time a thriving business. Let's listen in to all the reactions that have come in from that industry.
कानपुर औद्योगिक नगरी है और खासकर कानपुर में चर्म उद्योग का एक अपना स्थान है। एक समय यहाँ 2000 से ज़्यादा इंडस्ट्रीज थी। इस वक्त मैं कानपुर की एक फैक्ट्री में खड़ा हूँ। आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ तो पहली बात तो कर्मचारी नहीं है, चमड़ा है जो खुले में पड़ा है और सूख रहा है। बहुत बड़े, जहाँ तक नज़र जा सके वहाँ सिर्फ केमिकल के ड्रम्स हैं या चमड़ा सूखने के लिए रखा गया है और लगभग कमोवेश यहाँ कर्मचारी है नहीं है। लेकिन यहाँ क्या दशा है इस चर्म उद्योग की, इसके लिए जाने के लिए पहले हम कुछ कर्मचारियों तक जाना चाहेंगे।
अरे इससे पहले जो सरकार आई थी, बहन जी की सरकार आई थी, तो वो 2 दिन चालू, 1 हफ्ता बंद, फिर 1 हफ्ता चालू, फिर 1 हफ्ता बंद। फिर अखिलेश की सरकार आई, उन्होंने भी इसी प्रक्रिया से काम चलाया। लेकिन योगी की जब सरकार आई तो वो वर्ल्ड टू वर्ल्ड टोटल बंद करा दी।
थोड़ा माल चलता है, उसके बाद में बंद हो जाता है। 2 दिन 1 दिन चलता है, 2 दिन 1 दिन बंद, 10 दिन बंद रहता है।